What's going on, Dolphins fans? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. If you have not gone outside today, please do so. It is beautiful. Happy Victory Monday. Just another reason why it's a beautiful day. And today we have the 5 things we learned for yesterday against the Carolina Panthers. So starting out with just a slight negative here, the Dolphins definitely missed Devon Achane yesterday and are going to continue to miss him over the next few games. Him out of the lineup, first and foremost, just eye test the speed that is removed from the lineup is definitely a big impact on this offense that relies on his speed so heavily. And we're in a very blessed position that we still have Raheem Mostert, we still have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, but when you're missing one of those guys, it definitely makes the offense run a little slower, a little less efficient. There's less room for those big plays, and you can see that in the stats. You look at last week against the New York Giants, only 54 plays run, and was doing it at 9.7 per play, so nearly a first down every single time the Dolphins snapped the ball last week against the New York Giants. And then you flash forward that to yesterday against the Panthers, 6.5 yards per play and 65 total yards. So more plays run, less yards per play. I mean, that only makes sense. And this is a unique position that only really the Dolphins that are in, that you look at one game from the other, that you have more plays, that's seen as a worse thing. The team was still, ran very smoothly outside that rough start in the beginning of the game. And the offense was still really good, but you can see what it is like life with Devon Achane and without Devon Achane in this offense. It definitely runs so much better with him, especially having both Raheem and Devon on the field at the same time, where you line Devon outside, you have Raheem behind in the backfield, and teams don't know what to do against that. That's still something that hasn't been figured out yet. So the Dolphins are going to struggle at the very least a little bit coming against better defenses, and we'll see that next week with the Philadelphia Eagles. What it's like with this more one-dimensional rushing attack where you're really only concerned about Raheem Mostert. But Devon Achane definitely was missed and will continue to be missed from this offense. And number 2, one more slight negative. This team is desperately waiting for Jalen Ramsey to come back. Adam Thielen, he's one of those veterans that just knows how to get opened. He's a very savvy guy in that nature, whereas he's not the quickest, he's not the tallest, but he's a sharp route runner, and he just knows how to manipulate defenses to get open. 11 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown. He pretty much got whatever he wanted. He looked so smooth out there. It looked so easy. And this secondary has been getting torched. Even with Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard hasn't had his best season so far. Only 1 interception. He isn't necessarily playing bad, but we've seen better days from Xavier Howard, and he needs Nick Needham back in the slot. He needs Jalen Ramsey back over on his opposite side. The secondary desperately needs it. The defensive line stepped up 4 sacks, so I was very happy with how the defensive line played, but this team really is waiting for Jalen Ramsey to finally play his first game, which reports are that he might return to practice as early as this week. So if you just kind of schedule things out, we have that bye week after these next 3 games. Makes a lot of sense. Mid-November, Jalen Ramsey back in the lineup. Really waiting for that arrival. But we won the game 42-21. It was far from all bad. It was certainly majority good. And one thing we got to learn about this team that I don't think we had really seen before so far this season is the ability to play from behind. In the Chargers game, we were behind in moments, but it was kind of shot for shot type thing. We went down 14-0 quickly. They punted, we punted. They got a touchdown. We punted again. They got another touchdown. And then we got the ball back and finally put some points up on the board. Being down 14-0 quick, it was a weird atmosphere in the stadium. Donovan and I have season tickets, and I'm sure he'll back this up, that everyone was just kind of confused. And I think it's something of letting your guard down for a lesser opponent, a team that you should beat, especially when you have such a big game around the corner. And the Panthers, to give them credit, when they were within the structure of their offense, those first few drives are oftentimes scripted out, and teams know going into a game what plays they're going to run. And within those confines, within that system, they put up 14 points. Bryce Young looked really good. He was like 7 of 8 for like 90 yards or something after those first couple drives. And it was looking like it was going to be a tough test. And then we put points up on the board with ease, just as we always do once we finally get rolling. Stop them on that fake punt. And then what was it, like a handful of plays later, we're in the end zone, and we stopped them again. 2-minute warning. I'm talking to my mom. We got these lounge area passes where they have the garages, and a bunch of people go in there. There's drinks, there's food you can pay for, there's AC, and there's other games going on. And it's the 2-minute warning. I'm like, okay, we'll go over there if we score quickly and we can walk on over there. The first play back, we put up the touchdown, long bomb to Tyreek Hill. He takes a selfie. Everybody's already seen it. And we're up 21-14 and just never look back. This team does not really know what it's like to be down for long. The Buffalo Bills game is an exception on the basis of, they're a divisional team that knows us very well. But we saw ourselves down. We saw ourselves operating slowly. Like I said, definitely missed Devon Achane, and it was seeing those first few drives. But then once the ball started getting rolling, the ball just effortlessly found its way down the field. And we finally got to see what it's like being down by multiple scores and able to overcome it. Number 4, the conversation for Tyreek Hill versus Tua for MVP is going to be a fun one for the rest of the season. So assuming the season continues to roll as is, we have some road bumps along the way in terms of our schedule. We have the Eagles next week. We have the Chiefs coming up shortly. On the tail end of our schedule, it's pretty difficult with the Ravens, with the Bills. But assuming we end up in the playoffs and let's say we win the division, let's say we're the number 2 seed, there's a pretty strong chance that the MVP comes from this Dolphins team. You're looking at the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes hasn't had his best start to the season, but they're still 5-1. He's still him. You look at the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, they just lost their first game, and he had a pretty rough game through, 3-4 interceptions. You look at the Niners, Brock Purdy, he's not going to win the MVP, and if he's not going to win it, maybe Christian McCaffrey, but Christian McCaffrey just went down with the injury. So we'll have to see how long it takes for him to get back on the field. And that kind of just elevates both of Tyreek Hill and Tua, in my opinion, to the top of the MVP conversation. And now that then has a conversation of who is the most valuable player to this Dolphins team. Is Tua more important to this offense, or is Tyreek Hill more important to this offense? Today, recording this on October 16th, I'd have to give the slight edge to Tyreek Hill. Him getting open, what he can do with the ball in his hands after he catches it, it's so dangerous. And Tua, this is not a slight in him. He just has to sit back there and get the ball into Tyreek Hill's hands. We know what Tua is. We know what Tua is not. I'm very happy with what he is, especially within the confines of this offense. Nothing to take away from him. But if he didn't have Tyreek Hill and he didn't have Jalen Waddle or he didn't have Devon Achane, if he didn't have one of those pieces, which we've seen him without, he operates with less efficiency. Whereas Tyreek Hill was able to go from Patrick Mahomes to come over to Tua, and the situation was definitely questionable at best. Let's not have revisionist history. It was definitely questionable at best as to what was going to be going on with Tua. And now Tua is, he's for sure the Dolphins quarterback going forward. And again, I'm fine with that opinion. I'm right there. But I'd have to argue that Tyreek Hill is more important to the Dolphins. We really saw this offense start to turn around when he came over, as well as Mike McDaniel, of course. And we haven't looked back since. Now, last year we saw what life was like without Tua, with Tyreek Hill in the lineup. And that would be a certainly good argument for Tua is when Tua was out and Tyreek Hill was out there, the offense was not as good just because Tyreek was in there. So it's not a clear-cut answer. My vote right now would be for Tyreek. Your answer might be for Tua. It's a great conversation to be had. I love to be arguing who's one, who's two, and then the rest of the league. I love to have that dialogue. Maybe we'll make a separate video on it. Let me know down in the comments what you think. But right now, I think that's an incredible conversation that we're going to be having for the rest of the season. And number 5, the Eagles are beatable. The Jets, I believe, gave a really good blueprint as to what to do to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And that is really stack the line of scrimmage and trust your secondary pieces. Even without Sauce Gardner, without one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, they were able to get the job done and hold the Eagles in that second half scoreless, I believe. They gave us a blueprint, and we should be able to, not flawlessly, but execute this next week. Now that we've seen our division rival do it, we know our defense isn't, the best in the NFL, but we did see some growth yesterday. We did see the ability to get in the backfield. We did start cutting off their ability to run the ball. Those first 2 drives, Bryce Young was dicing the ball downfield. Chuba Hubbard, had all the open space he really wanted, even running up the middle. And then as the game went on, we adjusted, and those adjustments ended up being fruitful, and we, did not allow a single offensive touchdown for the rest of the game after the first quarter. This Eagles team relies heavily on Jalen Hurts' ability to run the ball and kind of forces the middle linebackers, the corners, the safeties, just keep one eye in the backfield while you're guarding one of the best receivers in the NFL in A.J. Brown, while you're guarding one of the best emerging wide receivers in Devonta Smith. You obviously have Swift coming out of the backfield. There's so many options that this Eagles team has, but if you can stack the line of scrimmage, make Jalen Hurts stay in the pocket, not give him those big chunk plays with his feet. That's a pretty good recipe to win. They're going to try to funnel the ball to A.J. Brown as much as humanly possible. You know that going into the game. So if you can, have a game maybe like we did yesterday against Panthers where you have a little bit more plays, you have the ball a little bit more, and then you trust that defensive front, which we saw yesterday, to have tremendous success. David Long get disruptive in the backfield. I'd love to see some corner blitzes. Just throw a lot of different looks at Jalen Hurts. And he certainly hasn't been himself this year either, despite the fact that they're 5-1. So they're a very beatable team. We could be going up to Philadelphia, 6-1 in the season, 2-0 in primetime Sunday night football games. And we're already at the best start I've ever seen in my lifetime. I was born in 2000, but I think it was 2002, the last time we were 5-1. So in not my literal lifetime, but my football watching lifetime, this is the best Dolphins team I've ever seen. This is the best start of the season that I've ever seen, and I have better hope today about us going up to Philadelphia and winning. Before yesterday, I still probably sit here and tell you that I thought the Dolphins were going to win, and it wouldn't necessarily be a lie, but I now feel a lot more confident because we know how this Eagles team can be beaten. They're like a team that has so much talent but really lacks an identity of what they want to do, and it makes sense when you see back-to-back season. They've lost their coordinators and are just trying to start from scratch again this season with a few new pieces, with a few pieces removed. They're not quite there yet. This is a great time to be playing them. They're a little vulnerable, and we now get to see how they can be beaten. So I'm so excited for that game. Be looking out for content about that Eagles game throughout this week. Donovan will be coming at you guys tomorrow. But let me know what you thought about the video. Let me know if there's anything else you took away from the game. Let me know down in the comments below while you're down there. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Have a great rest of your day. Go Dolphins. Later, everybody.